Right, so the International Monetary Fund today provided further clarifications and information regarding Wednesday's approval of $3 billion bailout to Ghana. The Ghana IMF press briefing held a few hours ago was addressed by the IMF mission chief in Ghana, as well as the country's Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Let's take a listen to the press briefing.
The inflation side, I believe I will flag two key planks of the program that I have already mentioned before. One is the very substantial and ambitious fiscal consolidation program that the Ghanaian government has embarked on. Of course, this will help reduce pressures on prices and will contribute to controlling and bringing inflation further down. And then, of course, the other aspect that I mentioned is the bold steps that have been taken by the Bank of Ghana in raising interest rates and in eliminating monetary financing of the deficit, both policies that are very, very critical to bring inflation down. And that have already started bearing fruits. On the reserve side, again, many aspects will contribute to increasing the reserves. Of course, the policies that I just talked about will help improve the external position in Ghana. It will help contribute to tame the growth of imports. It will help make the economy more competitive and bring exports higher. All of that will contribute to a more favorable external position, which in itself will lead to higher reserves. And of course, there is the impact of the program on the financing side, financing from the IMF, but also the financing that will help. That will be catalyzed through the IMF program from other partners that will all contribute to bolstering the international reserve position in Ghana.
Minister, would you like to address the City News question too?
No, I suspect maybe Governor, inflation and exchange control would be a great place for Governor to chime in on this one.
Governor, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister. I think that Stefan hit the nail on the point. The issue is about resilience, and this is really what I tried to explain in my earlier intervention, that as at the end of 2021, inflation was at 12.6, and within a year it rose to 54.6 because we had a major challenge with access to financing, especially. And as Stefan said, a major part of this program is focused on fiscal consolidation. As you're aware, there are new revenue measures which should enhance revenue flows to the budget and therefore reduce the demand for financing. You've also had the implementation of the debt exchange program. So the foreign exchange outflows that are associated with debt service should reduce. And then the catalytic impact of the IMF flows, which would, also help attract other foreign inflows, both direct and bilateral support. And all of that should help, in a sense, not only bring inflation down, but also help with exchange rate stability.
That indeed the program is quite ambitious in terms of putting the government finances on the sound footing going forward and ensuring sustainability on that front. And there are really two key components to this. One is the one that you were referring to these revenue measures. The program is ambitious on that front. The government has set for itself the objective of increasing the ratio of revenues that are raised domestically substantially over the next few years. And this is very important, of course, to contribute to the reduction in the size of the deficit. But more generally, going beyond that, it is also an important goal to bring the revenue ratio in Ghana closer to peers in the region, and this will contribute to making public finances much more resilient to shocks going forward. It will also create space for the government to spend more on priority spending, on helping the most vulnerable, and in implementing its vision for economic development and having a more expenditure focus on priority spending and infrastructure going forward. On the spending side, the reduction of spending I would say what is the most important is for the government to be able to provide better services at a lower cost, to make government expenditure more efficient. And this is, again, an objective that the government has set for itself. And there are a number of reforms under the program, particularly on public financial management, enhancing fiscal transparency, all of those aspects that the minister mentioned earlier in the event that are also very important. I will perhaps let the minister and the governor talk about support to banks. And there was a question more specific to the fund, I believe, at the end, but I cannot remember.
We'll go back to it. Minister, would you like to address this question?
Great. Thank you very much, Francis. Very, very good questions. With regards to the banks, yes, we went through the DDEP program, and we have all seen the effect on the banking sector, and therefore the structure of the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, which we intend to fund with up to $1.5 billion, $250 million from the World Bank, and government to contribute $500 million as we still speak to our development partners for them to participate in that. But the exercise, as you know, was really crucial to be able to reduce the level of interest that we are paying to support our debt. So yes, the World Bank should hopefully in the third quarter be able to bring that initial support going forward. As you know, we are running a budget deficit. We are also agreeing for zero financing for that. So to continue to support the programs that we have is where the $600 million will be deployed. I think going forward, the issue of efficiency of government and efficiency of services to the people are going to be key, and therefore finding ways of ensuring that we're efficient in our deployment that we have. So that's going to be key. I think for all of us in Ghana to really internalize that there's a new era with regards to our own behavior, re-engineering, and the type of imports that we have, moving towards food security, so the importation of rice and poultry and tomatoes, etc., are brought down, and we produce those ourselves. That really will signal a new way forward that will increase the resilience and sustainability of the program.
I think the IMF statement was that we have to keep a tight monetary policy stance until we are sure that inflation is firmly on a downward path. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we would have to be increasing our policy rate. But then on the issue of the impact of the debt exchange on the banks, I wanted to say a few things. First, to say that banks are very liquid. We don't see that the banks are having any difficulty with liquidity. And in any case, the Bank of Ghana stands ready to provide liquidity for any banks that may have future liquidity issues. And also to add that the main impact of the debt exchange was to reduce the capital buffers of the banks. So what we have done is to give them some regulatory forbearance. We reduced the capital conservation buffer of 3%, and that reduces the capital adequacy ratio from 13 to 10%. and we've given them a period of 3 years to rebuild their capital buffers. So we think that the banks will be fine. Shareholders will systematically rebuild these capital buffers.